And this film was about foil fencing. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. That is perfect. And I was like, it's in Richmond, great. Because there's a Richmond in London. So I thought, that's not too far. I can get on a train, 45 minutes, I'll be there. I was reading the script and I was like, this feels really American. And I was like, okay, I just need to check something here. So I went back to the call on Facebook and was like, it says VA next to Richmond. What does that mean? And I Googled it and I was like, it's Virginia in America. So I emailed Adam, was like, I'm really sorry, I'm a complete idiot. I wasn't very well when I applied. I'm in London. I thought we were talking about London. I'm in Kent, in England. And he was like, oh okay. And I said, are you still happy for me to audition? Because I'd like to. And he was like, yeah, because, well, you know, if you're right for the role, we can sort something out. And I was waited for months and then was told that they'd like me to do a callback. And I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. Really not expecting to get anywhere because I was thinking, you know, they're not going to pay for me to get out there. They're not going to, it's, you know, they're being polite, maybe, I don't know. I think I waited 1 or 2 weeks. It was the worst week ever. Like, I was just so like, have I not? I've never been this close to getting a role like this before. Like,
hey everyone, I am Ajay Tambe, the host and producer of Create Your Ears podcast. And, you know, we're doing this interview series with the cast of The Dark Alley, which is, by the way, now streaming. And today I have with me some wonderful guest from Kent, UK. Her name is Lily Mummery. The best part of Lily is she has performed the best performance, what we can call out from the whole series. Her performance in all the 7 episodes, we can put her on the top because the way I was editing it, the moment when I was editing and when I was hearing that, I was feeling whatever she was doing in the performance. The moment she sent the recording file, I checked on later on after 15-20 days. And when I was on edit, it was like, I can't even explain it was that I can feel that, okay, I can see that. And that's the best part of artists we can discover with this series and all. So Lily, she has been training. She has been doing lots of voiceover. She has been doing American film at this moment, and she is in UK, and she's kind of doing lots of things at this moment. Importantly, Lily is someone who is dedicating her life to this field and performance the 100% overall, where she thinks, okay, even if this line is like this whole script, I have one line in this whole script, I'm going to make sure that the impact of that line is going to be much bigger than what the whole script is. That's what I experienced about Lily. And before I talk more about Lily, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. That's such a nice introduction.
Oh no, this is something. This is not the usual way I, what do we say, introduce guests. Okay, this is a different way what I did because this was the latest memory of you I had. Okay, because this is what happened recently, and I thought like, this needs to be highlighted because whatever I've seen, if I put this series in the way of voice performance, you appear on the top, and that is still with me. You know, I was feeling that, and that's the latest memory I have of you, and it's that's why I introduced you in this way. So, what's going on with you now?
What's going on with me? So at the moment, just auditioning for more jobs. Really, that is it. Like back to this is the really humbling thing about acting is like you get somewhere with it and you start getting some bookings and then things quiet down afterwards and then you're back to the same thing of looking for jobs. I represent myself. I don't have an agent, so it's all off my own back. So at the moment, just hunting for auditions and continuing to hone the craft.
Yeah. And the craft is what we are going to talk about because I guess you are the one who's looking to, master that throughout your time. So Lily, tell me one thing here is, you started back, when did you start? Which year you started, by the way?
So professionally, I went to drama school and I was only on like a foundation course. I was only there for a year and desperately wanted to get into the BA 3-year courses, which are the ones that give you the big qualifications and like the showcase at the end of the year, the chance to invite agents, part of a show reel, all that kind of stuff. And I never got on it. I tried for 4 years, never got on it.
Okay. Just hold on. I was just looking to know the year so I can come up with whatever. You have to tell it in normal way. Okay, we are going to discuss that. The year, I just want to know the year.
Possibly
2019
or 2020, one of those two.
Okay, 4-5 years back. So you started 5 years back. Okay, in this field of acting. where you took the decision that you want to be an actor, you want to make sure that you spend 20-25 years in this field, in the prime. So tell me, Lily, what your day now in 2024 as an artist look like? What's your schedule look like as an artist in 24?
So it really depends on the day, because obviously I'm also working a day job. So I work in a nursery, I look after little children. But when I get home, usually if I've got an audition to do, I'm setting up, doing makeup, trying to find some clothes I feel represents the character that I'm playing. And kind of just getting my friend who's reading in the lines ready, having a little rehearsal, then just filming however many takes it takes to get a piece I'm happy with. If I'm not filming an audition or a self-tape, I'm come home and I do a bit of training. As often as I possibly can. Doesn't happen every day. Used to happen every day, but now life's getting in the way and it doesn't always work out that way. And then also once a week I try to go to a class.
Okay, sounds good. Like it's filled with a lot of things that, where you are making sure that it is 24/7 filled with what I love to do. Okay. Lily, now once you took the decision of acting, it's been 5 years now. How does it feel to be a part of a series or film, basically an American film? How did that particular thing looks like at this moment for you?
It's mad. Like, I remember speaking to some friends who are also in the industry and people saying like, it takes you about 10 years to get anything. And my first professional job I got at the end of last year when I was doing a touring panto company in the UK, which was great fun. I have a soft spot in my heart for pantomime because it's just crazy and all the rules go out the window and you can just do pretty much almost whatever you like, and it's great to experiment. So to go from pantomime then to do my first short film in America, which was bizarre. I still don't quite know how that's happened.
We're going to come on that later. We are going to come on that.
Yeah. And then doing this
series. What does it mean for you at this moment?
I think it's just, honestly, like, it's proof that I can do what I've spent so many years working on. Like, yes, I properly started taking this seriously 2019, 2020. But I wanted to be an actress, I think I want to say the age of 6. Like, that was the moment where I was like, I think I'm going to give this a go, because I wanted to be a princess, and you can't necessarily be a princess when you grow up. So then my brain went, right, we'll be an actress. And since then, it's so lovely. And I wish I could go back and tell that younger version of me that was so anxious, so worried that she was never going to have any proof of what she's so desperately trying to do, to be like, no, don't worry, it's going to happen. You've just got to live through certain things to make it happen.
Got it. Lily, tell me how it feels like once you got the part. How it feels like once you get up now in the morning. Is there a difference? Is there a difference filled with energy, confidence, excitement? How are these getting up phase in the morning changed for you once you got that particular project?
So.
I just want to know, like, what's the getting up phase? Because something kind of changes with this.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a little secret, because obviously when you first find out, nobody else can really know for a while until it's decided that you're revealed, like they're announcing that you were part of the project. And I've never had that before. So it's very kind of like you wake up with this little secret, and it is that boost of confidence and that reaffirmation that you can do this, which I think is so important to actors. Because there's so many of us struggling in this industry and trying to make any way. Like, loads of my friends are at the very early stages, like me, of their careers in this industry, and it's just finding out that you get that part is just it's so exciting, because it's just you walk into the unknown, like you don't know exactly what this character is going to be. You're still waiting to get the whole script, and then that whole sense of discovery. It's really exciting.
It keeps you on the toes every day, and it also is exciting at the same point, and it keeps you like, I got some work today, and I think this is amazing. Great. So I guess I came to know about this project, and that's where I thought it's fascinating and it's something exciting, and it's a great boost for you, someone who started with musicals and pantomimes and a lot of things that you did. Now I'd like to jump back to the period where you were looking to be a princess. You were looking to be someone who was, in her own world. And then she fell in love with acting or, drama or anything. Take us back to the phase where you first fall in love with acting, drama, musicals, plays, films. What was that Lily like, and what was the world of that Lily look like?
So it actually started when I was at nursery, and my mum's always told me, that my teacher there was like, she's going to be an actress when she's older. She's definitely going to be an actress when she's older, because I was just constantly singing and dancing and playing pretend and like being characters. And I remember my first time on stage vividly, which is mad because I was like, maybe 2, 3 years old. I'm not entirely sure. And it was doing the school nativity, which we do every year in the UK. And I was playing the star in the nativity, and I remember the costume that I was wearing, and we've got video footage of it somewhere in my house.
Whoa, send me, I'll add it somewhere.
I haven't watched it for years, so I dread to think, but I had to sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and usually the teachers would hold the mic in front of the kid that was saying their line or singing their song, but my teacher just handed it to me. I just took it and was like, ready, here we go, kind of thing.
So
I was
already ready.
Yeah, very confident as a kid.
Got it.
And just, after that, it's like every time I got to be on stage, it's just, I never, as a kid, and this has changed since becoming an adult, but as a kid, I was never nervous. I was just so excited. Like, I was like, great, this is my chance to do something and stand out and be different to who I am in the day to day. And I knew that from a very, very young age, which is interesting. But
Got it.
The moment.
So, which was the first play that you, where you decided? Because I came to know about your childhood where you were, on the go. It started in nursery where you were 2 or 3, and your parents already knew. So it was kind of inside you. But there is a phase where we are kids and we don't know. We just enjoy just being in the part, just entertaining, just people laughing, and we enjoy that people laughing from what we did, or people enjoyed what we did, and that's it, and nothing more than that. But tell me the phase where you really took it serious. Because it's a part where things really start changing, and the life kind of really sounds big for you, anyone, and this is life, what we keep on hearing now. So that's where, what was the phase where you took that seriously? I think this is the thing that I can and I will and I have to do it for a very long time because I love it. Was that a school play or college? What was it?
It would have been a school play. It would have been like a secondary school play. Trying to think of the one that probably made me think that. So I remember the first, because I went, obviously as a kid, I was like very confident, and then lost some of that confidence as I got a bit older. And then kind of like I'd never get cast as anything in like the shows, and like I'd always be in the ensemble, which I still had fun with and I enjoyed. I was so desperate to go, no, I can do this. Just give me a line, give me something, and I'll show you I can do it, kind of thing. But I think it was when I was at secondary school, and we were doing what was the musical called? I think it was not The Pirate Queen, and it's not Pirates of Penzance, but it was like a female version of Pirates of Penzance, but kind of thing. But it was a junior version. The songs were different. And I was playing the Pirate Queen, and my mum had sorted out this whole like get up, this whole awesome costume. And I just remember having the most amount of fun with this character. She's so different from myself, a bit of a villain. And that moment when I was like, I have a chance to show what I can do and really play around with a character and stuff like that. That was the start of it. But it wasn't until a few years later when I was like, okay, I'm going to start figuring out, how I create a character. I started researching, how do people do this? How do people kind of turn into different people on stage and stuff like that? Because I was having drama classes at school. But I would go home and do my own research to try and think, okay, how can I elevate my performance? And that happened definitely a few years after that. But I think that was the start. This show.
That was the start. That was the start, I guess. So, what was that period? Now you told me like you were like crazy buff for this field, films, television, musicals, and all. So, how you got started? What was that particular place where you actually got started? When did you make that decision, and what did you start with?
Oof. I definitely made that decision when I was still a kid. Like I made that decision probably like, even though I wasn't quite aware of how difficult it would be and how serious this decision was going to be for the rest of my life. I knew that I'm very determined. I've always been very determined from a very young age. And that moment, like I still have the notebook of 6-year-old me going, I can't be a princess because there's not enough princes around. What are we going to do? And I was writing down different jobs that I'd be interested in doing as an adult. And one of them was actor. And I crossed out like all of the other jobs, and actor's the one that's circled, which I think is hilarious. Like, I don't think I understood the gravity of the decision I was making at that point, but that was definitely like the moment. Yeah. And then I think just carrying on and going to like after school drama clubs and doing, when I could finally pick my options at school, because that's something we do over here. I think you get to year 9 and you can pick what lessons you'd like to do at school alongside English and maths and stuff like that. And I was like, I want to do acting. And that was like already decided that
the number one thing
doing that decision kind of thing. So yeah, and again, like I started learning more and more about the craft from then on in. But yeah, I think so. The show that I was just previously talking about, that was when I was in year 7, so my first year of secondary school. I did that show. So I was like 10 years old when I kind of started taking things seriously, or as seriously as you can for a 10-year-old that's still trying to figure out how this works. It doesn't have anybody else in the family anyone in this industry, but yeah.
Got it. And I guess this is the best part that I learned from you after like, I guess 17 minutes. What I got from you is you have that mental capacity of thinking on your own at very young age. You have that brain thing, which is like, what's going on, or what's happening. You kind of calculate yourself very properly. And the way you told, like, you want to be a what do we say, what was that? I forgot. you wanted to be a princess.
Yeah.
And then after a few years, you came up with the conclusion, I cannot be a princess. And what is the thing that you make a list? And I guess the pattern that followed was the same after years and years and years, because you know what you want to be. And that's the first thing anyone who is living is the important thing, because once you calculate that, then it becomes easier to, cancel off a lot of things, because that's the best part that you do, I guess. And the moment you came into secondary school, you I guess first standard, I mean, like, I also don't know what I did in first standard, and you remember that. So that's the crazy and the best part here. Tell me, you now entered into musicals, okay? So that's where you actually got started into acting, where we can say professional productions, where things actually happen.
These were school productions.
Okay, these were school. So what we're talking about, Sound of Music and Les Misérables. So these were the early stage productions. Okay. So tell me, what is it with musicals? Because I'm interviewing a lot of artists from UK, and they start with musicals. So how is that musical drama imbibed in your culture, and how you guys get connected and attracted to that?
Yeah, well, to be honest, like it was the only option for a while. So the after school club that I go to was all about musical theatre, and there's not a lot of after school clubs for kids that's all about just straight theatre,
Okay.
Because we're too young to start thinking. I would say we're too young. That's a lie, but we're not quite ready. I wasn't ready to start thinking about things like Shakespeare or serious plays or stuff like that at that age.
That's too deep.
Yeah, musical theatre I think is a lot more accessible to younger kids.
Okay.
And I did want to
people watch that a lot, like families. Family watch that a lot. Families, there's good audience for musical, right?
Yeah, it definitely brings in more money than plays do in the UK.
Yeah,
I mean, we've got the West End and stuff like that. So yeah, and I think as a young kid, like, I wanted to be in musicals. Like, that's what I was going to do with my life. But I was really nervous about singing. Like, I'm
that's
classically trained.
Yeah,
I've been classically trained as a singer for a while, just for as a hobby. Had this amazing teacher, and I was like, musicals is what I want to do, but I just didn't have that confidence with the singing side of things. I could sing. I'm an all right dancer, and like I was convinced that after secondary school I was going to go to like a musical theatre drama school, and then kind of I really enjoyed Les Mis and Snow White and doing Sweeney Todd and things like that. I loved it. Had such a good time. messing around with those kind of shows.
Right.
But it just wasn't quite the right fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I could have put more time to working on my dancing and my singing, absolutely.
Got it. So
But
I guess that's where you got started with
mm,
that was the starting period, but you didn't continue. I guess that
yeah,
is the thing. Yeah.
yeah. And I think I knew that really film is more what I'm interested in, because
Mm.
I love musical theatre. I love watching it, don't get me wrong, but there's always you are performing, you know, when you're doing musical theatre. There's
Okay.
always the
Yeah.
emphasis on what you're doing. Whereas I love the subtleties and the kind of drawn backness, the breaking down of a person that you get in film, that you can only really see in film. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
get that
That's
to
true.
the same extent in theatre. It wouldn't translate, you know.
Yeah. Yep. Got it. Okay. So basically, just hold on one second. Okay. Yeah. So basically, this was the warming up period with you. Okay. So you kind of warmed up at this moment. Now we jump on to the major chunk of this story is you trained yourself in East 15 drama school. Okay. So that's where you actually trained yourself. You took training under well-known directors. East 15, right? The name of the
He's
school.
15, yeah.
Yeah. That's where you actually train. So you trained yourself under East 15 school, where the characters and the people and whoever was there was well-known personalities, which means done good amount of movies, spent a lot of years. So once you were there, what were some of the most valuable lessons you learned during your period in East 15? That period of I guess 1 year, 2 year, I don't know, but what were the lessons? Because throughout the year, in any school that you go, you don't remember every single day,
Yeah.
but you remember that part where you actually felt, oh, today was different. Okay, today I learned this. Okay, that particular project that we were working on really made me, kind of going to stick with me for a very long time. Or the mistakes that you did, and hey, I don't want to repeat that again, because I did that back in school, and I know it is harmful for my journey, or whatever the learnings were in the sessions that in the workshops that you do. So tell me, what were the biggest learnings that you took from your training in East 15?
Yeah, I think two in particular stand out for me, which I mean, I was only there for a year, but like still trying to condense all that stuff that happens in.
I guess that was a foundation, right?
Yeah. It was a foundation course, and yeah, so like one of the things I remember, we had this seminar, and she wasn't one of our directors that came in. I can't remember her name, but she was a really interesting woman. That it was more of a sit-down chat rather than we're going to get up, we're going to be doing this, we're going to be doing that. And she was talking more about the well-being side of acting, which at the time nobody had ever sat me down and had that conversation about how do you look after yourself as an actor and how do you take care of your mental health and all that kind of stuff. So I remember her saying, like, because this is something that I'd definitely been struggling with all of the performing life that I'd had up until this moment, and also at that drama school, is comparing myself to everyone. And thinking, oh, like, they're so good at this and I'd never be able to do that, and I can't, like, she's so much better than me, he's so much better than me, because of X, Y, and Z. And she said, like, we look at playing a role like a ladder. So there's your version of Juliet from Romeo and Juliet, for example, and then there's your friend's version of Juliet, and they're up here and you're down there. And she's like, it's not, in reality, it's not like that. In the industry, it's like, it's a circle. So we all have our different ways of playing this iconic character. And that doesn't necessarily make it any better or any worse than anybody else's. This is our stamp. And, all you can do is make sure that your stamp is the best that you can do. Don't worry about the others. They're worrying about their own stuff. And that was something like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Why have I never thought about this? Like, that makes so much sense. And it really helped me start. It didn't fix anything straight away, but it was the start of me kind of being at peace with comparing myself to others.
It's kind of tablet for you.
Yeah. And then another thing that stood out, which is probably a bit controversial, really.
Go on. We're going to tag them.
Yeah. One of my directors in the last show that I did there, like every other show that we did, because we do it like a show a term, like on the Mondays and Tuesdays, we'd spend rehearsing for this show that we perform at the end of the term. And my last one, I had a different director to the ones I'd had for the first two shows. And we wouldn't come in and warm up in the mornings. Like with every other teacher, like, right, we're going to spend this amount of time in the morning to do a warm up. Let's do a vocal warm up. Let's do a physical warm up. And he had a background in film and TV. And I remember him saying something along the lines, it's been a while, so I might get it wrong, but he was like, well, why do you warm up? You don't warm up for life. You just do it. So,
Yeah.
it kind of made me start thinking, oh yeah, because in all of like the little false starts and the kind of like the hesitations and the bits when you're like, wait, is this right?
Yeah.
That's where life happens.
Yeah.
It's not, life isn't rehearsed, and actors,
It's
we
not
are
perfect.
imitating life, So
Good.
yeah, that was a big thing that stood out for me.
Wow, I learned 2 new things from you now in last 5 minutes. I guess that is the part where that the director, she really made this clear that you are going to bring your version to that character. And the moment you train yourself, that stamp is going to be of you, and not what you think it is going to look like, but it's what you bring on the table. And that's really important, because you bring your version on the table, and that should be the best, and
Yeah.
that's what you serve to the audience. I guess that's important, because that keeps the pressure out of you, and you make sure that you prepare yourself to be the best version of whatever you are playing. And that's really important advice to everyone. Any actor who's going to listen to this is going to help them, to unlock that key. It's kind of something, whenever you will feel like self-doubt, where you're doubting something, or you're, in between a middle of your, I don't know, it will go like this or that, and that's where this key comes in and, unlocks thing. Hey, hold on. And that's where this helps you out. And the second thing is, like, yeah, it's never about warming up. It's all about, just get started. Let's do it. Just like Nike, just do it.
Yeah, just do it. And I think there is some merit to certain kinds of theatre, and especially voice acting and stuff like that. There is merit to warming up to a certain extent, but I think I found after a while that warming up, my body and my voice was stopping me, like me putting off actually doing the work, because like it's me delaying the inevitable because I was nervous or I didn't feel quite prepared or whatever. Like cutting that out, I still do a certain warm up, but like not to the same extent that I used to. I find that kind of makes me get
like warm up is necessary.
Yeah,
it is necessary. We are just talking about, hey, do not put something like, where we think a lot of things, just before starting up, have to do this. Like there's warm up for everything. But this, in short, what it meant was to get the point, like, hey, just get started. Don't overthink. I guess that was the point.
Perfect. Yeah, because life isn't perfect. You're going to make mistakes. That's where we find humanity in the character.
Yeah, got it. So tell me, Lily, here, you trained yourself, but you were also performing back in school, college, when you were just born, I guess, 2 or 3, you started performing that. But there is a part where actors do not go to professional acting schools. There's a lot of frauds and there's a lot of good things. Okay, it's a mix of that. So there's a lot of actors who just train themselves in theaters and productions, and that's how they get in their job, with the network, But there are someone who really are going through the professional trainings and, workshops and all, and that's how they train themselves as an artist, as an actor, as an actress, as a musician. So from your point of view, I'd like to know how important it is to train yourself as an actor. What's your take on taking a professional training, and how that helped you, and how it will help anyone who's looking to take?
So I have obviously a different kind of an interesting outlook at it, because I did only go to drama school for a year. I didn't do the generalized like 3-year kind of course where they really shape you. And I was desperate to do it, but just didn't happen. These things happen. You don't get everything, and that's just the way it is as an actor. But during my training at drama school, it was the best year for me as a person. Like I did so much growing up in that year, as me. Ignore the acting. I did a lot of growing up, and I learned a lot about myself, which I desperately needed. The training itself was great. We did a broad amount of things, but I have definitely learned more as an actress away from drama school, for sure. I think it is important to go to classes and to have a little training regime at home that works for you, so you can keep, because it is a muscle. It's a muscle at the end of the day, and you've got to keep it working like an athlete. But I do think to a certain extent, and I haven't been on a 3-year course. I just know some people that have. I do feel like after being on a BA course, from my understanding, they shape you into the kind of actor they want to represent their school. You're not necessarily figuring out the kind of actor that you want to be. And there's a lot of kind of talk at the moment from people that I know that are kind of saying, do we actually need drama schools? Do we not need drama schools? Like, is it the be all and end all that we think it is? And I think it is helpful. Like, oh my gosh, you can get like a showreel at the end and potentially an agent. And that would be, I think it would escalate things to a certain, you know, you might cut out years of you flailing around your own trying to figure out how this works, sort of thing, which would be lovely. But I think it's very difficult to say this, but like you don't necessarily need all that training to be a good actor. There is some merit to it, and there's some useful tools that you might think, okay, no, that's actually useful. Yeah. But I think you need to spend some time doing your research and figuring out what kind of actor you want to be and what tools work for you and which ones don't, and don't feel as tied. Like, okay, well, this is what I've learned and this is what I've been told works, so I must do it this way, because not all actors work the same. We're all so different. We all have our preferred techniques and stuff like that. And the good thing about, like, for me, figuring out a lot of it on my own is I can pick and choose. And I've kind of come up with my own little toolkits. And some of it is just nothing to do with acting at all, but I was like, this seems useful, I'm going to chuck that in, kind of thing. And it means that my technique is constantly changing and growing because I'm constantly finding new things I'm going to add in or take away, and it's constantly evolving. And maybe that is the same for all people. I don't know. I can only speak from my experience, but
we are just asking from you. Not like a proper it's not a general statement, it's a personal statement. What do you feel? And that's what it is important.
So I guess long story short, not necessarily. I think you need good stagecraft, like learn how a stage works, learn how to use your voice. Other than that, a lot of it is just trial and error.
I guess. And that's what is important here is the reason I'm asking this is it is important to take training. It is not important to go to classes. Acting, if you can't afford it, then I'm saying if you can, then you surely go, because if you have no experience of life, if you have no experience of how to deal with world or the life or etc around us, because you've never been through that situation, that's your situation at this moment. So once you go there, you kind of go through all these kind of things, because that's what they do in acting school. They teach you, they put you in the situation, they make sure that you go and train yourself and build yourself. Because that's why what I learned from Lily is she had a personal development thing throughout that 1 year. So she developed personally, where like acting was the other part, but the personal development that happened inside her was something that you never feel like that would happen to me. So I guess you kind of figure that out yourself, calculate your risk, and then take the decision. But I guess it's a calculative move in order to get that thing done. And I guess it falls in between. So it's not a necessary thing, but it really helps people who took that and were serious about it and had a different mindset of taking that particular thing, because they want to develop themselves, build the craft, learn how to build the craft. And that really helps. Once you clear the goal of why you went there, it will help you out to calculate the outcome, and that will help you to okay, I spent this money and this is what I learned. Because once you think of spending money and then joining something in Universal or HBO or Hulu or Netflix, that will kill your spirit of getting up next day. So this is something which is really important. And thank you Lily, so much for sharing that. Okay, so we now jump on to we are going to come on. You played Juliet in Romeo and Juliet, and I'm going to look for that part, how you prepared for it and what was it like to be. But we are now jumping on audition process. So in depth on audition, how you prepare as an actor for audition. So tell me now in 2024, after going through proper training, then lots of auditions and self-tapes and a lot of things throughout these years, including the pandemic where all things was online training and Zooms and everyone performing on Zoom. How do you now, Lily Memory, prepare for a character, prepare for an audition? Is there any rituals, any exercises you have? What do you do once you get a character, get that page, and hey, Lily, this is the line, this is the part, and this is what you have to do. You got 15-20 minutes, and let's do it. What's your take? What do you do?
Oh, so much. Ideally, I'd spend more time on it, but I have to earn money in other ways as well. So I don't get to spend as much time as I'd love to spend on just building a character. So I'd always, first off, I'd read the script, and I've started learning Meisner technique quite fairly recently, which I'm starting to get quite interested in, and just kind of sit there and I'd look at my lines. I'd only read my lines, and I wouldn't read through the script first. I don't want any context for this. This is all about discovery. And I'd look at the line and be like, okay, how does this make me feel? What does this mean to me? And then I'd read that line out with that intention. And it might be something completely out of context in the script that doesn't make any sense. But sometimes you can find an interesting spin on how you're going to play that character through just going through the script initially that way. Then I'd kind of like break down, okay, what is this script giving me about the character? Like, is it giving off any like particular personality traits, or like, does it say they like this or related to so-and-so or whatever? What are the facts and what are like potentially opinions and stuff like that? Again, like go to the character breakdown and do the same with that there. And I write it all down in a notebook. So since I was about 15, I've been keeping like a character journal. And only characters I actually book go in this journal now, because it's getting way out of hand with auditions, like so many just random here and there of all these random people. So I have like a scrappy notebook that I can kind of mess
you
around
have
with.
that?
I do. I should have brought it downstairs with me to show you, but yeah, like I have like
oh, that's cool. That's cool.
I have so many notebooks just full of people that I played throughout the years, like just so many.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like this is my little like go-to. Okay, who is this person? And yeah,
wow, that's good. That's good.
And I always put down like, okay, what's their name, their age, like, do they have any family members that I know of? What do they like? What they don't like? Where were they born? What's their favorite color? Do they have a romantic partner? Do they not? Are they religious? What's their opinion on religion? Do they have any regrets? Do they have any ailments? What's their top secret? What's their guiltiest pleasure? Stuff like that. And it's like some of it you get from the script, and other parts you make up, and that's when you start to twist them into your very own little person that you're creating. And then I go on to the personality, and I remember reading this. I can't remember where I read it, but it was years ago when I first started playing around with how to build a character and doing like an inner and outer personality. So the outer stuff is how they present themselves. So it's like they're brave, they are independent, they're resilient kind of thing. And then the inner stuff, they're insecure, they're lonely, they're whatever. And some stuff from the outer does carry over into the inner deep part of your personality, because it's what you're really like deep down. And some things completely contradict each other. And that kind of just gives me a little bit of an idea of what does this character look like as if I could cut them open, if I could look into their deepest like thoughts, into their mind, this is what this person is. And that's like the start. And then I'd kind of break down the scene, like, so where have I just come from? What's happening? Who am I talking to? How am I feeling? What do I want? And I've started doing, I believe it's a Miser breakdown. It's something that one of my acting teachers I have at the moment has given to me. And it's really interesting just to break it down in that particular way, and then figure out kind of like how I'm going to do this.
Got it. And this is interesting, amazing. And the way you built this is going to help you for a very long time. And you're going to, kind of upgrade this version of what you have to do. But this is brilliant, that the way you told and explain is kind of brilliant also. You have a process, but to explain that in proper way is also important. And this is going to help a lot of people and a lot of actors what you should do and how you should do it. And this is Lily's process of preparing for an audition. Is there any exercises, any rituals you follow once you get an audition? What are they?
Yes, I love doing this. This is kind of my warm-up. I do a sound and like voice, sound and movement kind of thing, which I learned from, I believe it's a program called To Be or Not to Act, which I did during lockdown. So it was like a month's worth of just training that I did online, because that's all I had to do. I was on furlough and needed to fill my time. Basically, I sit there with my eyes closed and I'd like start moving my head. And it's not to kind of loosen up the muscles. It's, how's my head feeling today? Do I have any pain anywhere? Let's go into that pain and see what's going on here. And then you work down the body, and then you'd open up the voice whilst you're doing it. So it's all weird, like, sounds this whole time. And then you start moving around the room and just like letting instinct dictate what sounds and movements you're doing. And the idea, the less you think about it, the better it is, because you're just working off of instinct, whatever's coming through your body. And it is weird. It's so weird. I've never done it in front of anyone. I really don't want to do it in front of anyone.
Oh, wow. That's good now.
But this, I feel like this encourages, when I'm acting, all those micro movements. So like, just encouraging you to, okay, I've got this pain in my back. I can use that in the scene. Again, using the, like Romeo and Juliet. I'm playing Juliet. And I remember one day that I was working on one of the monologues during lockdown, because that was my homework. And can't remember which one it is, but that doesn't matter. And I had like, I think I had like a sore throat. And I think it was one of her last few monologues or something like that. And I was like doing my warm up and stuff like that, doing the sound of movement. And I was like, my throat's so sore, like my neck aches kind of thing. Like I was definitely coming down with something. And I was like, well, there's no reason why Juliet can't have exactly the same problem as me right now. Like, you know, she's lost Romeo, she's going through grief, like, you know, like I'll never see him again. Like, this isn't something I should just necessarily ignore. This is something I can use to add another layer of realism to the thing that I'm doing. And it might not work, it might work. You never know. You never know when you're going to stumble across something that's gold and something that's not. So it's worth a try. And I recorded it and watched it back and I was like, oh, this is added. Like, I didn't try to make my voice sound better than it did in that moment. I just allowed whatever was there to happen. And it was a totally different way. I've done this monologue a few times. I'd never performed it like that before, ever. And I preferred it personally because she was a mess. She was struggling and it just kind of like opened up this other side to her that I hadn't seen before, which I really liked. So I do that. I try to do that exercise every day just to keep like the instinct flowing as it should. But definitely before I do like record a self-tape or go to an audition, I do this, or I'm on set or whatever, you know, I do this just to kind of wake myself up to what my body's actually dealing with, and then I can use that.
It is important. It is important.
Yeah,
got it. So I guess this particular part helped us to jump on the next part, which was talking about your Romeo and Juliet play that you did. Okay, so when it happened, where it happened, what did you do when they told you that you were going to play Juliet?
I was so excited. I've been wanting to play it for years. So this was at drama school, and I was one of 3 Juliets. So I did some of her first few scenes, and I did her last scene when she dies. And I was so excited. I was like, finally, we're doing a modern version of Romeo and Juliet. I'm so ready for this. And yeah, I literally, I was like, I've got so much. I've never played a character like her before, like an iconic character. So I was like, right, we're gonna this is my chance to kind of really go to town with finding my Juliet. And again, because there was 3 of us, we all played our version of Juliet. We were not trying to compete each other at all. And that's what was really lovely, is that we all had our own individual spin of what Juliet is like to us, which made them all great in their own way. Like none was weaker than the other. We were all like on our own playing field. Yeah.
Imagine 3 Juliets.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like one of them on stage and later on another center or somebody else's. It was great.
Wow. So okay, this is fine. Tell me, what was your prep and what was your study and research for such character, which is really someone, and it gets referred every part of the century, I guess. It will be referred after us also, I don't know. But something is getting, everyone knows about that character. Everyone knows Romeo and Juliet. Everyone knows what it was. It was a love story. And, it is kind of related to somewhere people connect directly to Romeo and Juliet. They know that this was Romeo, this was Juliet. So once you got to know that I am going to play Juliet, what research did you do? What prep did you do? What was that you wanted to connect with? Okay, when people see me, they see Juliet and they do not see Lily Murmury performing Juliet. What was your prep?
Oh, I did loads of research into the play itself. So like breaking down all of her dialogue and stuff like that. And I remember during the audition that we did for it, like I auditioned with the guy that I ended up playing, who ended up playing my Romeo, because we had 3 Romeos as well. They were the only ones who had multiple characters. So we it was great because we were good friends anyway. So it worked out really well. And like we're doing the ball scene when they first meet each other, the masked ball. And like that moment of like seeing each other and like, we've all I'd recently like fallen in love at that point. Like I'd recently fallen in love. Wow. It was like so like I could just draw on moments of my real life and put it into my version of Juliet, that moment of seeing someone that makes you go, oh hello, kind of thing, for the first time, and all that nervousness and unsurety and stuff like that. So that was really helpful. Like a lot of it just like it was just served to me on a silver platter. Like a lot of it I was to a certain extent experiencing in real life. But then just our version was kind of based around gang crime. And so the Montagues and the Capulets were 2 different gangs. So I did a lot of research and listening to interviews of people who have experienced like gang crime or been a part of a gang or whatever, as part of like a way to kind of like have an understanding, okay, what does Juliet's day-to-day life look like? What is she exposed to, kind of thing. And then just going through my process of like, okay, you know, how old is she in this version? We decided that she was a bit older than she was in the original play, kind of thing. What's a guilty pleasure? I can't remember what I put down. I'll have to find it at some point just so I can relive what I was thinking at that point. But yeah, just kind of figuring out her inner and outer personality. What does she believe? What does she regret most? Who does she care about? Like, and realizing that according to the play, her pool of friends are so small. Like, she's so shielded and protected this whole time that she doesn't have a ton of friends outside of her nurse. And like, also then realizing, like, we decided that she doesn't have a great relationship with her mum. Like, her mum's very much like, you need to be this kind of woman, and Juliet's just not like that. Her mum's like very out there and showy, and Juliet is, but in her own way that's very different to her mum's. And making her a feminist as well, which we're all like, yes, we're going to do that. Yeah, and also talking to the other Juliets and the other actors. Like, I'd have a sit-down chat with all of the other actors I was in scenes with, and me and my friend Jason, who was playing Romeo, was sitting down and kind of like figuring out, okay, so what's our relationship like? What do we think of each other? And like, just making sure that there's some. Obviously, we don't want to know everything, because otherwise that's not really real life, is it? If you know everything about how each other feels about each other and whatever. But we wanted some of it to be cohesive and that we're on the same page with certain things, if that makes sense. So, and like, I remember sitting down with the woman that played the mom. I think her name was Chloe. And we had a really interesting chat of like what Juliet's childhood looked like and the way that her mum raised her and stuff like that. And that all made like our individual versions of Juliet so different and so much of our own thing. And it just got to the point where I was like, I know all this stuff. That stuff's all in the back of my head now. I don't need to think about it. I just need to take a moment, breathe, go on stage. I'm Juliet now, kind of thing.
Oh, wow. This is good. I was completely lost in the way you're telling it. Okay, this is good. I'm hearing this for the first time. I've never watched this. Okay, I never watched this happening in front of me. So that's why I wanted to know what's your point of view and what you did. The part where what you do when you get offered to some iconic roles and you are playing the lead part of that whole iconic story. Okay, so you kind of connected with her ups and downs, and what were the restrictions, what she had, the access, the way her mother wanted to be, she wanted to portray her in a different way, and she wanted to be someone else. It was kind of different layers that you figured out. Also, I guess the part where you were trying to connect with your own falling in love experiences were helping you out to blossom more as a Juliet in front of public, because I guess that was where you can feel the emotion and then you can deliver the lines, and that was your Juliet.
Yeah,
I guess that kind of sums it up, the way you performed. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, that was the way of how you go ahead with character preparation, and you go in depth and you have your own process, and your process kind of changes. And I guess once you have that rough, what do we say, the map of how to go for it, you kind of fill that whole thing inside that. Okay, what's her restriction? What's her access? How her mother, anyone XYZ wants to treat her, and if you put that in one thing, that makes your own preparation process really easy, and you get more time, spend more days after you fill that form, and that's easy process. I guess that's a good thing that you got. Okay. I guess now we talk on your recent release. These guys tagged us also on Instagram, the Untouchables, kind of tagged us. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, we are going to talk on your part where I guess this is the short film, right? The Untouchables?
Yes, short film. We're
It's an
hoping to
American
get it into a feature film, but again, it just depends.
Okay, yeah, it's NDA, I guess, non-disclosure agreement, and I guess lots of things are under process. But I'd like to know more about when did this call happen, because you're now in Kent, and this, I guess, you shot in America for this.
Yeah,
you went to
we shot in May.
Where did you shot?
Yeah.
Okay, May. You played a competitive fencer, and so I guess this was more physically demanding role. I guess especially the prep part of it was about learning how to do this whole fencing and all. The choreography of that, where you learn how to handle that and do all the fencing. The part of the reason I'm talking about is it is something which is happening as an international, which the way we did it, but it is a short film where you travel there and you been through the experience of doing all this thing. And for a short films are like shot in one day, and that's it. But the experience here is different. Tell me when it happened, when you received the call. How you got that call first of all, and then what did you do after that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's such a funny story. And I was telling everyone on set and they were like, what? How are you here? And I'm like, I don't know. So I was the
Wow.
only Brit
Oh,
in
yeah.
the film. We
Okay.
shot for 3 days, I think it was in the end.
Mhm.
And yeah, so way back, I had the flu and I've never had flu before. I
Here
had a
comes the story.
temperature. Yeah, I was not well. And I was scrolling through Facebook, just like, because I was in bed and I was
Okay.
bored and I was scrolling through Facebook. And I stumbled across this audition for a film about competitive fencing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I've recently like trained as a fencer. Like I'm a very beginner level fencer. I used to
Okay.
teach little fencing classes that goes over the basics for children at like an outdoor adventure center that I used to work at. And that's where I learned the basic, how to parry, how to move like a fencer, how to stand on guard, how to, and I learnt with a fencing sword called the foil. And this film was about foil fencing. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. That is perfect.
Wow.
And I was like, it's in Richmond, great. Because there's a Richmond in London. So I thought, that's not too far. I can get on a train, 45 minutes, I'll be there. Kind of thing. So I applied for it and then like sent them like some footage of my work and stuff like that. And they said, okay, we're interested. Here's the audition. And originally I was auditioning for 2 characters, Roxanne and Jill. But was really ill, so could only end up doing 1 audition because I was like, I'm really ill. I was struggling to fit in doing Jill.
But they made you do that, both of the audition. They made you to audition. You did.
I did. So I wanted to. I was interested in both characters. I was like, whichever one you think I'm more suited to, put me down for that one, kind of thing. And then they were like, here's both, kind of thing. And I ended up only doing.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. But I was reading the script and I was like, this feels really American. And I was like,
okay.
I just need to check something here. So I went back to the call on Facebook and was like, it says VA next to Richmond. What does that mean? And I Googled it and I was like, it's Virginia in America. So I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Because they want me to audition.
Yeah.
They want me to send them a self-tape.
Yeah.
So I emailed Adam and was like, I'm really sorry. I'm a complete idiot. I wasn't very well when I applied. I'm in London. I thought we were talking about London. I'm in Kent, in England. And he was like, oh okay. And I said, are you still happy for me to audition? Because I'd like to. And he was like, yeah, because, well, if you're right for the role, we can sort something out. And I was like, okay, cool. So I worked a lot on like researching more about fencing and stuff like that and kind of figuring out who Jill is. And she's extremely competitive and very obsessive and driven. And I remember Adam saying she's like fire. She's like fire in a person, which I was like, this is exciting. This isn't really what I usually play. And I sent it off and was told, okay, we're going to have a look over the next 2 to 3 months, I think it was, and kind of like narrow it down because they got so many auditions come in, like way more than they thought they would. And I'd explained I'd had some experience in fencing and stuff like that because I'm technically, this is where the confusion was, I'm down as a core fencing coach in the UK. I've got like the qualification for it, but it is only basic fencing coaching that I'm capable of doing. And that didn't translate very well. So they thought I was way more capable than I was. And there was a whole confusion. So anyway, I sent that all off, waited for months, and then was told that they'd like me to do a callback. And I was like, okay, cool. That's fine. Really not expecting to get anywhere with it because I was thinking, they're not going to pay for me to get out there. They're not going to, it's, they're being polite, maybe, I don't know. So yeah, and then had the callback, got down to the last 2 people for Jill. And then literally, I remember that week that I think I waited 1 or 2 weeks was the worst week ever. Like I was just so like, have I got it? Have I not? I've never been this close to getting a role like this before. Like, for film, which is what I want to do. Like I've never gotten this close before. And it was just torture waiting. And then got the email saying, we'd really like to have you as Jill. We're happy to pay for you to get out here. We'll have to have a chat about what we're going to do, but this is what, the fee we're paying, all that kind of stuff. And these are the days we want to film. And I was in focusing with my boyfriend and he was like, don't check your phone. Like you keep checking your phone. Don't look at it. You're stressing yourself out. And I he was like, he heard a notification come through and he was like, I kind of am curious as to what that notification is. And I was like, I really want to check it. And he was like, oh, just check it. And it was the email saying that I booked the role. And I just like dropped in the middle of like a public place.
Yeah.
Just so like, I had everything against me to get this role. Like I'm in the wrong country. I'm rubbish at accents, generally speaking, but worked a lot of the American accent and somehow got somewhere.
You did well in Dark Alley.
Yeah. Thank you. I've been practicing a lot. I'm so awful at accents in general. And it was just like everything was stacked against me to get this role, and the fact that I got it, I was like, wow, this is like I'm a Christian, so I believe in like, you know, things happen for a reason in my mind. And it was one of those things I'm like, there's too many coincidences. Like I was made redundant like a year ago, which got me this job, which taught me how to fence. And then I was ill at this specific time, looking at Facebook at this specific time.
This is how you relate.
Yeah. And I was like, this is mad. This is actually mad. Like this shouldn't have happened, but it has.
Yeah.
You know, it's like one of those things.
Yeah. Kind of big boost for you in a way of your journey as an artist. And I guess this it's kind of, you know, this is what I was looking to know about how this story happened. And first of all, this has been like amazing thrill experience for you also. And when I was listening, I was feeling the same, like, okay, this is happening now, happening. Okay, wow, this is great to know that. And I guess there's a lot of things loading for you if these guys can hire you just to come to America for this role, and there's a lot of things loading for you in next couple of years. Okay, good to know that. As we told, there is a kind of agreement here where we are not going to talk more on the character Jillian Freeman, so we are jumping back on the prep process for the Dark Alley. So I'd like to know, this is kind of a curious question, how do you prepare? Because I kind of really liked it, the way you performed. So that's where we are kind of shifting the question to Dark Alley. Because I mailed you the script, and the moment I mailed you the script, you said, okay, and this is the day I got. You are not that active on social. So you're not that social person. You're rarely active on any platforms. I just did it. I've booked you, and that's where I thought, okay. And I forgot who is playing episode 2 until I came to the last part of the series, where I thought, okay, I need to figure out who is playing this part, because now we are closing the deadline and we're doing the press release and all. Tell me, what prep did you do? Because the moment I saw the files when I was editing it, that's where I came to know, wow, what is this? This is kind of very deep. And who is that? It's Lily Mum, and she's in Kent and she's in UK. And how is she doing this much performance where she's performing like an American accent? So what was your prep like? What did you do after you got the script? Tell me about the task.
So a lot of it was the same process I go through, you know, like looking, because you sent me a very detailed character breakdown and like what the story is so far and stuff like that, and picking out the little bits of facts you've given to me about her, like, you know, she's a journalist, you know, stuff like that. She's working with Mark, and like picking out, okay, so she seems, you know, very driven, very determined, like she's not afraid of taking difficult stories. And I'm like, that gives me a load of information about who this person is already. And then that's what I love about a good breakdown. I hate it. It's my personal pet hate when I get given a character to audition for and they're like, whatever you want, or they're really vague about what kind of direction they're looking for this character to be taken in, because I'm like, no, you do know what you want this character to be taken in. You do know really, and you're putting me at a disadvantage by kind of going, whatever, do what you like. And I'm like, that could be anyone. That could be so out of the, I could go so out of the ballpark that you're trying to get me in, you know. So I do like some direction as to the kind of character you're wanting me to give, and then I can just embellish on that and figure out all the extra things that nobody needs to know about because it's not important to the story, you know. So it started off, I was like, right, I've got an American accent that I can do, and it's about like, okay, so she's a little bit older, I'll kind of try and lower to a certain extent her tone of her voice kind of thing, and kind of like playing around. And when I'm learning dialogue from a script, I will read it like a robot. It is the most mind-numbing thing, but it works. That's the unfortunate thing. It works so well for me anyway. So I'm literally reading like sending myself slowly insane, and trying to learn like the words, get the words into my head and into my mouth, you know. And then I don't speak it in like with any rhythm or anything like that until I'm getting closer to like filming or recording, like in this case, recording the final product. And just again, like writing down in my character journal, like even figuring out like what's her parents' names, you know, when was her birthday, like little things that are not useful to the story,
True,
But
complete.
yeah, but I'm like,
There are
without,
actors, there are
yeah.
actors where they just record it. I sent it and they record it and send me in few hours.
I mean, that works for them. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, some people can just do that. Like, I think Olivia Colman is famous for like just. I might be wrong, so I feel a bit bad saying this, but like she's very kind of loose with the way that she comes up with a character. She just goes for it. That's what works for her, and that's the important thing. You've got to find what works for you.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, I don't want my characters to be vague. You want them to be a person and have life in them. So for me, I need to do these things to kind of figure out who this character is, and like, does she have a lot of friends? Is she more of a loner? Like, what kind of stuff is that? And yeah, like figuring out what her guilty pleasure was. For me, I was like, I could just see like she's got a very probably quite stressful job, which she loves. I think she loves like the intensity that her job brings her. And she's really like getting such a high off of this particular job because she's like, wow, this is real stuff that we're discovering. Like we're uncovering something here, and this is what I'm meant to do, kind of thing. This is my purpose
of life,
revealing the truth. Like I was like, but what would she do to like kind of wind down? Like there's silly things like that kind of make you figure out who this character is. And I was like, she'd be sitting there with like a tub of ice cream, binging Netflix, like something like Gossip Girl or something like that she can just watch, or like You or something like that she'll watch and be like interested in, but I can kind of switch off at the same time, like stuff like that. And then
that's cool.
Yeah, and when it came to like the actual recording, like I remember thinking partway through, I was like, for me, when I'm recording dialogue, what I learned from the past voice acting experience I have is adding like noises that aren't words, like non-verbals. I feel like that adds so much more to a character because it's what we do. And then when you don't do those things, that says a lot about character as well. So for her, I'm like, she's been working on this case with Mark for a while, like she's getting frustrated. She's like, we're missing something. There's something here. So like using those non-verbals kind of like gives you a little easy way to kind of show the audience, because you can't do it with your face, you can't do it with your body, you've got to just do it with voice, which is hard, and I'm still figuring out. That kind of gives you like a key to get into that. And then I remember I had this mad moment. I was like, well, if she's just run away from, she'd be out of breath. So I just ran around the garden in circles and up and down the stairs of my house to try and get myself out of breath. I was like,
wow.
Yeah.
That's how you did it.
Yeah, that's what I did. I just ran around in circles in the rain in my garden.
It really worked. It was amazing. It was the best thing that you did, And the moment that you told me, like, just do some voices in order to create that zone or moment, that really worked. Because that's what got me in. Because I know, because I was in edit, and I know how things work for this particular play, and I have to create a moment, That's what my job is. I have to create that whole thing, a moment where they think that it's happening, it's really happening. Because all I have is the lines, and all the way is I have to create that whole moment so they can feel that zone. Once I got your thing where that voice is, and the feel and the feel that you created with your own voice is the best part, is the key here. That's what got me in. Like I had to do nothing. You can, it's the 4th episode release now. It's released. You can check. It's your part there in the previously also in the 4th episode where we feature 1 minute of you and the whole story in 1 minute, what happened previously. And it was nothing. It just put your voice there without a background music, without anything. And it was absolutely amazing. I don't have to convince anyone, hey, this is the situation. And that really worked for me. And that's what got me in. And it's kind of a fresh thing because we kind of released your episode yesterday. And today we are talking. So it's kind of fresh memory that I have. Okay, thank you so much for explaining, and keep doing it. It really helps. It really helps also to improve yourself, and also to people who you are kind of connected with and collaborating with, because this is kind of energy really helps you out, and you can co-pro with this version of you, what you have. So first of all, thank you for sharing that, and it's brilliant that you did.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So we are now going to jump on a quick rapid fire with you. Okay. So stage or screen?
Screen.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to embellish anything about that, or just literally go for just what it is?
Oh, you want to talk on that?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I wish you could get the same feeling. Like, I love the feeling of stage, but I prefer it's such a it's all complex. But I love the feeling of being on stage and the audience being there. It's like that instant gratification for what you're doing. But with screen, I prefer the acting. So I think I've got to go screen.
Cool. Yeah, everyone feels that way. But I guess the compliments is one thing that you get immediate response about what you're doing is kind of fulfillment with stage. Got it. Favorite role you've played?
Probably Jill. Probably Jill.
Sure, which is
Yeah.
currently in the process.
She's
Okay,
in the
got it.
process. She'll be here
Got
soon, hopefully.
Got it. Comedy or drama?
Drama.
American accent or British accent?
British. I never get cast as British people, but yes, British.
Favorite
Less
actor?
stress. Less stress. Sorry.
Okay. Favorite actor?
Oh, Meryl Streep or Tilda Swinton.
Okay, want to talk on that?
Yeah, I love her. I want to say chaos. It's not chaos. She's just very impulsive, and I really love that. Tilda Swinton, oh my gosh, she's like so in every role I've seen, she's just so different and like it's just got this gravitas about her. Like one of my favorite roles for her is in The Chronicles of Narnia when she's playing the White Witch, because oh my gosh, she is so imposing and she's so still. She does nothing, but she is terrifying. Like she's
Good. Okay. Dream role.
Oh, there's so many. Okay, I've got two. I'll do two.
Okay.
I would love to play Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice. Love the films and the story. But also when I'm an old woman, because I want to be in this for the long haul, I really want to play Miss Marple. I don't know whether you've heard of her. She's
No.
we have a murder mystery writer in the UK. Who's not with us anymore, but she's called Agatha Christie, and she wrote two very famous murder mystery characters. One is Hercule Poirot, who's like this famous detective from Belgium, and then there's Miss Marple, who's this old woman that just is invited to a lot of people's houses for various reasons, and she's so switched on and so intelligent and clever at detectiving, but she's not a detective. Like she just sits there and figures out crime. And because she's nosy and stuff like that. And I would love, there's like been so many different actresses, amazing actresses have played her across the years, because she's been like the series has been running for such a long time, or incarnations of the series. And I would love to play her when I'm older. She'd be great.
Wow, sounds great. First of all, thank you for introducing me to that particular series. Wow, that's good. Good to know that. Okay, now musicals or Shakespeare?
Ooh, Shakespeare, I think.
Okay. Tea or coffee?
Oh, now I'm just betraying my heritage, but coffee. I love tea, but coffee.
Yeah. Acting or voice acting?
Acting. Yeah, I love using.
What's one skill or technique you'd love to master in acting?
Everything, to be honest. I want to master everything. I don't feel like I'm there yet. It's still a working process.
Let's focus on 2024.
We'll say horseback riding. I think that'd be really fun to add into like just your acting arsenal.
Well, so horseback riding is what you want to do in 2024.
I'd love to do fantasy films and stuff like that. So I feel like horseback riding would be useful.
Yeah, you got 4 months to do that then. In 2024.
Yeah.
Okay. A director you'd love to work with one day?
A director?
A director. Any director. Director you'd love to work with one day. Yeah.
See, I respect too many directors. Like, I don't
You're
mind.
not going to get like banned by them if you don't.
I know.
Like, who's your favorite? Like, no one's going to.
I don't think I have a favorite. That's the thing. Like, I don't care who the director is as long as the story and the vision is good. You know, like that.
You're in that phase.
Yeah, at the moment I'm kind of there.
Yeah,
I'm sure that will change, but like now, I don't mind. I really don't mind.
You don't mind. Yeah, got it. Good to know. Okay, this was rapid fire. We got 12 questions, but I guess it was too rapid. It finished. Okay. Okay. Now we focus on what are the things. This is the second last question. What we can say is, what are the things, Lily, you're doing currently after you left the formal training from East 15, the foundation course was done? What are the things that you did in order to keep you fresh and, in the process, in the zone of acting, voice acting? What are the exercises or what are the workshops? What are you doing once you finished the East 15 foundation course?
Well, for a long time, I was just in this kind of, what do I do now? Like,
that's
where do I
everyone
go?
goes through.
And I had probably about 2-ish years where I just wasn't really doing much acting at all, like barely auditioning for things, because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to find. I was, representing myself. I was like, I have nothing to give to an agent to be like, represent me. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, what do I do? And literally just hunting for things, like hunting for auditions, stuff like that. And before all of the strikes that was happening in America,
the SAG-AFTRA,
the SAG-AFTRA ones, I was finding myself like 2-3 auditions a week. And now it's a lot less afterwards. It's a lot quieter. Just researching like on Facebook and the open casting calls. And I've got what's it called? I've got an app called UK Casting Calls, I think, or Casting Calls UK, something like that.
It's a Facebook group, right?
Yeah, I think they have a Facebook group, but they've also got an app as well,
Okay,
which
good.
just compiles everything from all the social media platforms into one place. And yeah, so for a while, didn't do anything. I just didn't know where to start. And then I found, like, when I was auditioning, I was like, well, there's nothing there, obviously, because I'm not working the muscle, you know, like my auditions weren't great. And I was like, I was running out of time to send off self-tapes and do auditions and stuff like that. But I had no direction of what to start with or where to go in. And I really struggled for a while. And then I started kind of being like, well, I guess I'll try, you know, doing this exercise and kind of get mixed results and figuring out what worked and what didn't work. And I did this, like I mentioned before, during lockdown. I did a online course called To Be or Not to Act, and it's all about like encouraging instinct and being, not trying to put on anything. And I did that for the majority of lockdown, just using the techniques. And I still use the Sound of Movement technique that they, like, warm up exercise that they taught, and I dabble with some of the other exercises every now and then, just to kind of keep that instinct awake and alive. And I think that's what's so important for actors, is to just hone your instinct and be curious. You know, be curious about life and people and how people work, and watch people, which sounds creepy, but don't do it in a creepy way. Just, you know, pay attention. And so I did that pretty much every day.
It was quite of uncertainty and empty period for a long time until you really figure out. And in order to get agents to do some things for you, you need to have something on the table. You need to show them what you did, and I guess that really matters here. To add to your point, I also did this show as voice exercise. So this whole thing started as voice exercise.
Oh, wow.
It was not at the end. It goes back in pandemic in 2022. I was performing in theaters and a lot of things I was doing. Suddenly the pandemic happened, and the place where we do all this stuff is we do in Mumbai, in India. Okay, so this is where the whole industry lies. And suddenly everything stopped, and it was like end of the world. But what do you do once you are an artist? And I just started doing voice exercises and just recorded myself in an audio story, and, you know, just an exercise. And suddenly things kind of happened with me, where I figured out there's a thing called podcast, and there's a thing called Spotify, and there's a thing called a global distribution. So, you know, things kind of fall in places. Once you land in field of uncertainty, you just go with whatever you have, because that is the one thing is going to help you to the next step and to the next step. So once you land in the field of uncertainty, you just figure out what your next step is. And that's what you have to do, because it is going to lead you to the next step and the next step and the next step. And that's what the uncertainty to certainty, like the bridge, is all about, taking the next step, I guess.
Absolutely. And like, sorry, going off what you said, definitely. And it was like, finding this course online was such a lifeline, because I was getting bored during lockdown, like, just not, I didn't have work, you know, like, and I was really struggling. And this gave me something to do with my time, and was honing my skills as an actor. And then I was finding like more free training online and stuff like that. And so that was like the start of me going like, okay, we need to take this like muscling, like acting workout seriously, you know? And then cut to more recently, found a class in London that does Meisner training with this really great teacher who's just very humble. Is like, I don't know what I'm talking about, but he does. He so does. He's like, you know, this is just my opinion, you know, and there's gonna be so many of those in this industry. And like finally being in a room with other people and doing the training. We're basically just exploring, really, rather than training. It's great.
It's like figuring ourselves.
I haven't been able to go for a little while, and I miss it terribly. So I'm like, hopefully soon I'll be back. But it's
it's good to know. It's good to know. And I guess, there is a lot of uncertainty with everyone. And I guess that is the period where you master your craft, build your craft with the things that you can use as tools in order to perfect yourself. I guess that's one thing that you have when you land in this. It's good to know. So, okay, Lily, I came to know about you where you started as a kid. And as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old who's just looking to be a princess, to then decided to be a part of play where you can play a princess, and then you decided to be someone. Okay, I want to be here and I want to enjoy this be, and if something happens, you're like first one to jump up. Okay, that's my part, and I'm going to do it. And you just snatch that script and, hey, that's me, and I'm going to do. I'm going to perform. I don't know what happens with the rest of the guys. And then you started performing with schools and colleges where you were doing a lot of dramas and all. Interesting part with you happened was the Romeo and Juliet, where I guess the iconic script, the iconic drama, the iconic story, you got to play Juliet. That kind of helped you out in figuring how you can portray yourself, where there were two other options, there were two other Juliets with you. And I guess that these are some of the moments which kind of builds you up as an artist. You then came up with something where you kind of took it seriously and you decided to join a foundation course rather than thinking of what you have to do, and you decided to do that. The way you prepare for a character, the way you go for it in depth, even after going through a lot of training, you figured out a way. When you land in field of uncertainty, you kind of went in the place where, okay, I need to figure out what is the thing that I have to do. You figured out your ways, you figured out your practices, you figured out what will work for you and what is important for any character that I get to play. And that has become your book now, where this is your script and this is your map to go ahead and take the adventure of the character. You got a brilliant process, you developed it, and if you are going to continue this, you're going to be a pro in this particular field as an artist, because the way you perform it and the way you develop and structure yourself since you were a kid. You wanted to be a princess, then you figure out you're not going to be a princess, and you figure out a part where what you can be now. This is the way you figured out yourself as an actor, and this is how you develop and create a map for a character now also in 2024. You are someone who's continuously improving yourself as an artist, and you're looking to find out ways how you can improve yourself and make sure you give a good touch to the character. That's what we saw in The Dark Alley. And it's brilliant. Someone like you was still in a phase figuring out what kind of advice you'd like to give to the people and to the actors who are just starting out, who are failing in auditions, who are going through a lot of rejections in auditions, and who are kind of in a place where they're losing their hope. What you, Lily Mummery, from all your experience, can put advice for those guys?
We've all been there. For starters, like I went through last year or the year before a phase where I just didn't do any acting because I wasn't enjoying myself. I wasn't getting anywhere. I was like, I just need a little bit of break. And it was only for about 6 months-ish. And I missed it. I missed it a lot. And sometimes I do think stepping away, not for a long, we don't want to step away for years because you start to lose some of the things that you've kind of learned and got into your body and your mind. But a little bit of a step back is very helpful because it gives you some time to focus on other things. I think, sorry, getting all jumbled, but like you do need to have a good life art balance because very soon your art becomes your identity. And this is the difficult thing about art. It needs that personal that personal depth of your soul in it in order to make it real and breathable and compelling and interesting. But at the same time, you need to take care of yourself and protect yourself and know that your worth has nothing to do with how successful you appear in this field. It's got nothing to do with it. You are still a kind person. You're still a person with family or whatever your thing is. You have other things that you love. So it's funny, when I took my little break, I love playing Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if you know of the game.
Yeah, I've heard of that, but I have no idea what that is.
Oh, it's like a role play, like fantasy role play game where it's all improvised. So you've got somebody that writes the game and then the players kind of play along the story, but it's all collaborative storytelling, essentially, in my mind. I did love that. There's still acting. It's still acting. I was coming up with all these random characters, all these random voices, like trying to make my players feel as immersed in this world that I created for them as possible. Okay. And that's what I did during my break. And I was like, I'm still acting. I'm still loving it. Like, I just needed that kind of perspective of I'm away from being so stuck and so obsessed in it. I think now
that really helps.
It really did. And I feel like I've come back with a much healthier outlook. Like I'm not putting all my worth into whether I get a job or not. And that's so important. Like you need to take care of yourself as an actor. You need to find other things that you enjoy that sometimes can supplement acting, like D&D does for me.
Yeah.
Like don't make acting what you're all about, because when it doesn't go your way, it starts to eat away at you and it can become very unhealthy very quickly. So yeah, and also just if you feel like you have a story to tell, and this is something I used to say to my friends, I'm like, statistically, I will book something at some point. Like statistically, it has to happen because it will. It will, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, like billion jobs here.
Yeah, exactly. And so you've just got to have that resilience and be like, okay, didn't work out that time. I've got to keep going. But like, I could give you so much advice, but I think my last thing that I'll touch on is just make sure that, going back to the whole, like, your interpretation of character is a circle, not a ladder, compared to other people. It's, you've just got to make sure that when you walk away from that audition, or when you turn off the camera after that self-tape, or you send it off, or whatever, you are happy with the performance that you gave. Because that's all the control you have in this situation. There are so many other factors that dictate whether you get cast in a role or not. So many factors are completely out of your control. And if you knew what they were, you'd think they're stupid. But that's the truth of what this industry is like, at least from my understanding of where I'm at now. And this may change in years to come. I might eat my words later. Now, this is my understanding. As long as I deliver a performance that I'm happy with, I feel so much more at peace, because I'm like, it's out of my control now. If they want me, they'll have me. If they don't, they won't. And I trust that that's for the right reason. And it's not always easy. Sometimes I go through places where I'm like, well, this sucks. I'm not booking anything. Like,
for a few moments, like for a few minutes or for a few days. Yeah, it did that. But I guess the balance that you talked about art and life is important, because if you're going to dedicate all your life for this, then you have to take a lot of shots. You have to take a lot of shots, and that's important, because that's where you do not hamper your personal self, because the shots come from yourself. And if you're hampering yourself with the mental health issues and the trauma and whatever the downside of life, then those shots that you're going to take and the decisions you're going to make are going to hamper also, because that's where you should be. That balance, it's the best way to put it. It's like art and life, because you told, like, it's a circle. It's not a ladder. That it's always a circle, and that's one thing that I learned here. You guys can't see. It's a circle. Yeah, it's not a ladder. So okay, so that is the important part here, because you really mentioned something which is kind of different advice from what I used to hear. Is it's where you manage yourself, where you have self-worth, because once you have it, you will never put yourself in a mental position where your self-worth depends on that audition, or your self-worth depends on what that role was, because you need to have your own self established as a human being in order to take that rejection, or take that punch in the face really kindly. Okay, I guess. And then you have to say, okay, I'll put myself on the next one and the next one, because it's like billions of jobs flying over. You are going to, statistically, you told me, it is going to fall. And it's great advice, Lily. Here's to the last part. One piece of advice for actors, just what you can talk on acting for the actors. Just small part.
Stay curious. Always be curious. Always ask questions to yourself most of the time. And like, staying curious in yourself and the world around you is so important. Like, art draws on life, doesn't it, at the end of the day? Like, we're talking about the whole circle thing, life, art, balance. If you don't experience life, you might struggle supplementing your art with things that you've learned, that you have gained from the world around you. Like, yes, I know of people that have used their depression and their mental health issues to fuel their art, and that does work. It does work. It's hard, but it can work to a certain extent. But there is a healthier way of doing it, in my opinion. And you can say I'm wrong. That's fine. But stay curious in the world around you, because you'll start noticing different things and seeing different things differently. Like playing a character that I played that was this horrible, abusive mother, villainous character, way older than I should get cast for, like for a voice acting project. I'm so protective of her now, because I've spent that time trying to figure out, why is she like this? Why is she so awful? Like, she's torturing her kids. Why is she doing this? And I'm like, that moment when you figure out the why, suddenly everything opens up and you're like, I can understand this character. I can play this character, And that's the important thing.
Got it. Thank you so much, Lee. Thank you for your time. You got a lot of advice, I know that, but it's you are feeling hard. Which one to put first? You're in that. Okay, I had to go this, and you kind of jumble up. But thank you so much for advice you've given for auditions, for acting. To everyone, this was Lily Mummery from UK, Kent, and to connect with her, to know about her, to connect with her professionally, her email ID, her work email, and her profile, which is, by the way, now active to communicate as an artist, is mentioned in the description of this particular episode. So you can go and connect with her in order to collaborate, work, or just kind of talk and say, hello, I saw your interview and it was amazing. Her upcoming projects, if she sends her links, we'll be linking that down. And also I guess, yeah, that was it. And also to catch her in the Dark Alley series in episode
3.
Yeah, episode 3. By the way, the whole series is now streaming, so you can go check out. The link is in the description, so make sure you go and check Lily's performance, what we talked. You can connect what I felt about that particular performance. You can go and jump in now and download the whole series for free, and you can check the whole Dark Alley series now. Make sure you connect with Lily, make sure you follow us on Instagram, and make sure you listen to the whole series. I guess I mentioned that, but thank you so much, Lily. Thank you for being on the show. It was amazing, it was different, it was lovely, and it was something that, okay, this is the new experience. And that's the reason we do the show, is because figuring out what the artist is, how he got into this field, what the journey is, and what people can learn from this artist, and who can connect with he or she. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, also here's a new announcement I'm going to make now, is we are going to start a newsletter which is by the name Actors Playbook. We are going to feature what the guest told and discuss about acting, about auditions, about character preparation, about preparing for a role in the newsletter. So you can now sign up. This specifically is only for actors. Okay, you can go and sign up. The link will be mentioned down at the moment this interview is out, so you can go and check the newsletter, download it, and read. It will be a bi-weekly newsletter for every actor, and these are the advice be given by the greats and the people who have been on the show and who've been on the show and also were coming up. So it's kind of filling you up with proper and better, and which make you the best version of who you are at this moment. So it's only for actors, and it's for everyone who's in the industry, but it's specifically on the way that will help you grow. Okay, so thank you so much, Lily.
Thank you so much, I've really enjoyed it.
Okay, so everyone, I am Ajay Tambe, the host and producer of Create Your Year Starting podcast, and now I'm signing off. Okay, bye. Okay, hold up.